I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm Jay Clay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode.
Perfect.
What up? Welcome to Perfect Mode. And first off, let me start by telling y'all that we love y'all. We're grateful for the opportunity to be anywhere, sharing our thoughts, hopefully, and helping you realize that you are perfect. And the reason why I can say that unapologetically is because I know that you are one of one, numero uno. You cannot be replicated, duplicated. And the only reason you think that you're not perfect is if you're looking at this person next to you or the person next to them and saying, I'm not them. But guess what? You are you. And that's all you need. And I promise you, if you believe that, sky's the limit. Of course, it's yours truly, Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. And I have my boy Jay Clay, spiritual rapper and teacher. And we got a special guest today, Betty. Shouts out to Betty Guadagno. What up, Betty? How you doing today?
So excited to get into this conversation. And I feel hyped. I feel perfect.
That's what's up. That's what
there
you
you
are
go.
Perfect. You are perfect.
Perfect.
And before, Jay, you give us the topic real quick, I want to make sure I let everybody know. If you like this show, please like, share, and subscribe. Let somebody else know. If you feel like it can help somebody else, even outside of yourself, let them know. Let us help, and in turn, help us too. But go ahead, Jay.
Not only that, depending on where you're watching, you can click the link and subscribe to our calendar so you always know what the next topic is and all those topics and stuff. So yeah, but today's topic is manifesting 101. Stop trying so hard and let good things come. And we're going to talk about like what manifesting really is, why trying too hard blocks it, the formula, the actual practical steps you can take. And I know Betty, she's an expert on this. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, man. So I'm going to tell you, when I first heard this, the thing that came to my mind more than anything is getting back to the basics. So anytime I hear 101 anything, it's like, this is the starter class. If I didn't know anything about manifesting, if I didn't know where to go, how to start, how to do it, how to get out of my own way, I would want to be 101. And when I think about 101 is really wiping the slate clean. Anything that I thought that I know, I want to make sure that today that's on the back burner. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, let's start, Betty. What does manifesting really mean to you? Like, what would you say it is?
You know what? I really like what Troy just said. And the really cool thing about manifesting is that you're always in 101 because it's simple. It's elementary. It's super, super simple. The more that you try to complicate it and come in with like all of this really fancy stuff, the less it will work. So I love that. I always want to be like in the introductory to manifesting because that's the time of the highest excitement, which is how manifestations come to fruition. So what do I think manifesting is? Well, manifesting is the law of attraction, which is a universal spiritual law that says that like attracts like. So the universe is a gigantic echo chamber. So everything that I put out, I will hear and receive back to me. Everything I give, I receive is one of the lessons in A Course in Miracles. It's law of attraction based. So for me, manifesting is just that. Like everything that I put out, I receive back. So if I put out an emotion or a thought of, man, I never win. The universe just says, she never wins. The universe doesn't say, hey, let me give her some exciting thing that will make her feel like a winner. The universe is always responding to what I'm putting out. And to me, that's the core of the law of attraction.
So to both of y'all, like, does will come into place at all in manifesting? Like, are you Like, do you will it? Do you have to force it to happen? Is it a mixture of forcing and not forcing? Like, how does will come into place? Like, I'm going to will this into existence.
Yeah, definitely no. That is the opposite. Like, law of attraction is all about surrender and flow, which is something as humans that we're not taught about, right? Like, we think that we have to fix, manage, and control everything. The ego wants to be part of every aspect of life. The law of attraction is literally about just being in the flow of receiving something. So the more that you say that you want something, the more that you affirm to the universe that you do not have it. So you say, I want to be a millionaire. All the universe hears is, he's not a millionaire. And it will just keep playing that back and back and back to you.
And I guess from my standpoint, so I agree with you 100%. I don't think will has anything to do with it. The way that I would describe it in my own mind is belief. And the reason why I say that is it's not the sensation or the thought process of wanting something. It's the belief that you already have it. And so, or that it's, and again, when I say attainable, I'm not saying it from the standpoint of not having, but meaning it's something like I know I can attain, I can get water. All I have to do is go into the kitchen to get it. So I think that having the belief that everything is attainable, if I don't see it directly in front of me, I can, touch it, then I think that's important in it as well. And I think that for myself, the biggest lesson that I get more than anything, again, having kids, to your point, Betty, what you put out in the universe is the thing that's going to continue to come back to you. And so, one of the things I tell my kids all the time, don't say that you're going to lose, or don't say that it didn't happen, or don't say this, because you're inviting that situation, right? But when I say it comes back to me, there are plenty of times where I have been in impossible situations, like impossible. And I can't do anything but vocalize and verbalize how I feel in the moment. But lo and behold, my kids are right there saying, don't say that. Because if you say that, it's going to happen. And even in my mind, when I've deemed something to be really impossible, me hearing that is like a check, like, dang, that is something that I believe, and I'm not believing it right now. But go ahead, Betty.
Yeah, that's so amazing. I love that awareness. I love that you're helping your children to understand that too. As you were talking about it, I was thinking of one of those Hope Core videos. I try to trick my algorithm to only show me like happy, hopeful videos. But there's one of a dad and his son, and the son is trying to climb up this ramp and like hit the top. And he keeps trying and trying, and he's not doing it. And the kid's totally defeated. And the dad just takes him to the side and says, see yourself up there. See yourself hitting it. Feel how happy you're going to be once you do it. And the kid tries one more time and he nails it. And it's so amazing. And yeah, your story just brought that to my head.
So question to that, and I'm playing devil's advocate because y'all know how I am. But what would you say to people that say, well, that's you're being delusional, like you're living in a world that is not reality. Like, no, reality says you don't have this, and you're walking around like, yes, I can have this at any moment. What would you say to that?
That's a really good good point that you're bringing up. Yeah, does it bring you joy? So, if my delusion, quote unquote delusion, is hurting someone else, if it's making me mean and bitter and spiteful, and I'm actually harming other people because of it, then maybe I have to look at myself. But if I'm not bothering anybody by affirming that I live in a penthouse in Midtown Manhattan and I have a home in LA, I don't know why it would bother anybody else. So I do also feel like the law of attraction works in this way, where it sends us reflections of ourselves. So if you're having people around you who are reflecting feelings of self-doubt or doubt in this belief system, it probably means that there's some underlying piece of yourself that you still have to heal, because you wouldn't be getting reflections like that in your life if it wasn't something that needed to be addressed.
To your point, though, I got to say this, and I'm going to read that in a second. You are 100% right about the reflection of yourself. And the reason why I know that is because we know for a fact, Jay, there are people who want to be around us, but know, well, if I go around Jay Clay, this is what's going to happen. Or if I go around Troy, this is what's going to happen. And what they will do is they will refrain from being around us, or when they come around us, they'll be a certain way, because we've literally set up what we want our reflection to look like. That's number one. The second part to that is when it comes to how I would respond to those people would be, prove to me otherwise, right? And the reason, and again, I don't know that it would ever get to this point, because I don't know that anybody would come to me and say this, but if they would, I would say, prove to me that, because I can show you how everything that I have is what I wanted. I know for a fact. And I also know how everything that I didn't want, or I've said that I've wanted, that I haven't been able to recognize or realize that I have, is because there is a lack of belief. I know that for a fact. And so it's easy for me to explain that, hey, the reason why I'm not a millionaire in music now is because I never believed that's what I was. And the key that I always tell my kids now, to your point about running up the ramp, Betty, all the time, the question that I ask my kids is, who is the best person on the court? All the time. And I make them say that I'm the best person on the court, because to me, what that indicates is there's not a limitation. It doesn't matter who's out there with me. I can play with or beat anybody. And so I'm not going to come up against the opposition of, that doesn't mean I'm not going to lose, but that also means that I'm not going to, that also means that I can have an opportunity to win every single time. But go ahead.
Yeah, I want to read with I don't know if it's Christine or Christine, because there's a space in there, but they said my mom calls it acting as if. Acting as if it will happen. Acting as if you are positive, a positive, happy person. Acting as if you already have the job. And I want to comment on that and kind of ask a question. So I know sometimes when you're acting, you have in the back of your mind that you're acting, that you're playing a role. And sometimes it can, I mean, sometimes that can benefit you just depending on the role that you're assuming. But how does that work with manifesting? And I'll give a real example. So sometimes if I know I have to step into a space that I'm not usually stepping into, I'll kind of put on like that just invincibleness. And it's almost, it's like, why don't I just leave that on? But I choose to put it on at certain times, and it works. But could that be a hindrance as well, since I sometimes feel that it's taken off, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I'd love to comment on this. So to what you're saying, Jay, what comes to my mind is like, God sent me here, right? Every time I walk into a room, every time I do something new and uncomfortable, I have to remind myself, God sent me here. Now, like, boosting up your confidence is one thing. Acting as if, I think, can be a really good tool. Here's the problem with it, right? If that was completely true, then we would all be billionaires, right? Because I could just act as if. But the more that I act like a billionaire, the further into debt I go, and the further down my credit score goes, and like all of this crazy stuff, because I can't act as if when it comes to manifesting something like financial abundance or something physical. Now, you can act as if with embodying spiritual principles, you can act more patient, you can act more tolerant, and eventually that will start to take shape. And those things will start to manifest in your life, because you'll be coming up against situations where you need to act more patient and tolerant, and you'll already be acting as if you are that way. So the thing about manifesting that I think a lot of law of attraction coaches, or just a lot of people in this realm, don't understand is that we are all highly traumatized people. I mean, I am anyway. So the more that I affirm something that, like, I am abundant, but I grew up really poor. So like, I don't believe that I can be financially abundant. So I have to go in and do the deep cleaning spiritual work. I need to clear out my underlying wounds that are making the same thing happen over and over again. So like, and I don't want to affirm that I'm a traumatized person, because I saw Jay's face. I'm not a traumatized person. I am a healed person who helps other people heal. But what I'm saying is that a lot of us have underlying belief systems. All of us do. We all come into form. We learn everything backwards. And then at some point in our spiritual journey or our human journey, we start to unlearn those things and relearn things in a new way. And it's the same thing with utilizing the law of attraction. I just can't affirm like, I have a hot, handsome, hunky guy who's really secure, and he's super wealthy, and he wants to take care of me, and blah, 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 right? Because I watched the opposite of that growing up. So I need to go and I need to dissect my love beliefs so that I can actually welcome in that hot, hunky, secure, but like financially abundant man into my life, and not coming from a place of lack or a place of I could never have this. And instead, healing all those underlying wounds is such a huge part of the law of attraction. And I never hear anybody talking about it.
So I want to add to this. So, okay, it's two things here, right? To Jay's point about the acting and always knowing that you're acting, which what happens in that is if you know that you're acting, then you have the belief issue. That's number one. So you have this issue where you don't truly believe what you're doing. You know it's an act, so you cannot manifest something that you don't believe to be real. That's number one. But the catch to this is, I do like the acting part of it because, but there's a caveat here. To Betty's point, like when you're talking about manifesting $1 billion as an example, do I believe it's possible by you acting like a billionaire? Yes, I do. But the catch here is, what does acting like a billionaire really look like? And so what happens is when we get to manifesting things, we just have a general thought and we don't really know what it looks like, as if every billionaire is the same. But every billionaire is not the same. Every lifestyle that they live is not the same. All the way that they spend their money is not the same. So you cannot have you cannot have belief in something that you don't really know what it looks like. Now, if you were to say that I want to be a billionaire and I'm going to act like a billionaire, and I'm able to say, well, hey, me looking at Bill Gates, all he does is this, and this every single day. And he does it this way, this way, this way. And I start to take on these behaviors. Now, number one, the first thing I might realize is I don't want to be a billionaire. That's the first thing, because I don't want to live this way. But the second part is, if I am consistent and I do everything that I'm supposed to do to the T, then I don't see how you don't become a billionaire, because you're actually taking on a specific set of behaviors, guides, and rules that lead you down the way. Every billionaire, in my mind, again, and I don't know this, but all of them knew that they were going to be billionaires. All of them acted as if they were going to be billionaires, and they walked a specific path. Bill Gates followed somebody that did exactly what he did and became a billionaire, right? And so I think that there's God in the details, right? Yeah. When you say that you want to act, you want to act like something to manifest it, what truly does that look like? Or are you just having a blanket statement and saying, or believing that it's all the same across the board when it's not really like that? But go ahead.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's a couple of things here at play. So the acting, as if you brought up a good point, Troy, that you have to know what you're really acting as. Like, are you acting as their version of it or your version of it? Like, do you have an idea of your version of it? And to what Betty's saying as well, I love that, like, your core belief does mean something, because you could be attracting something you don't want to attract. Now, what's cool though, that it sounds like when you're acting as if, even for the moment, like you could start attracting what you really want again, but it might not be as strong because you have a strong pull in the other direction. And one example that I've given hundreds of thousands of times was me in college, lost scholarship. I didn't know what to do. I thought about the worst case scenarios. I thought about the best case scenarios. And I was like, well, shoot, I'm just going to keep going to class. I filled out all the scholarships I could do. I'm just going to go to class. The last minute, my department head found me and he was like, hey, I found you. I sent the scholarship to the payment department and you're good to go. I was like, what? Because I didn't know what I was going to do, but I just acted as if everything was all right, even though I didn't know if everything was going to be all right, but I didn't know that it wouldn't be all right. So I just like forego the thought and just, acted as if. So I guess to bring that into play, is there a right move here? Like, is there something that I'm missing? But go ahead.
So I want to comment on this, because the only way to properly manifest is that you have to detach from outcome, which is the hardest part, right? Because I want to know when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, what am I going to be wearing when it happens, what location will I be in? Again, like, my ego wants to have control over the situation. So what you did was that you put in the action steps, which is part of manifesting too. You have to, call out your desire and then find the action steps to make that manifestation start to come into fruition. It's not, I can't just sit here on a pillow and say, like, I am financially abundant. Like, my dream apartment, I'm living in my dream apartment. No, I have to go and, like, put in applications to get my dream apartment. I need to talk to the real estate agent. I need to do the things to get the dream apartment. I can't just sit here, and Troy will be my real estate agent. Don't worry, Troy. But so to this though, you detached from outcome. You just said, this is in God's hand. I did everything that I can do and I'm going to let go. And I have a similar story and I want to share it. I'll be real quick, but I had won a housing lottery. I live in New York City and I won this housing lottery and I was like, whoa, this is incredible. But I only have $20 in my bank account. I was not doing well financially at the moment. Right. And I was like, but wait, if God gave me the housing lottery, God will surely give me a way to pay for it. And I just detached. I started packing boxes. I was like, I'm moving. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know that it's going to happen. And I hadn't gotten a tax return in 15 years. And that next week, I got a tax return and I needed $1,862 to move into the apartment. And my tax return was $1,826. So I have a little bit of a dyslexic angel working in my law of attraction shop, but I just detached and I just knew that it was meant for me and it was going to come my way. And then it did actually happen that way. So that's a huge point. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, and just kind of piggyback on Betty. Listen, I live that way. Like when it comes to the financial part of it, like there are plenty of times where, like, and I'm talking about on a consistent basis where I don't know what next month's going to bring per se, but I know that it's going to be okay. So that's number one. But going back to the point that I'm making as well, and again, I don't like to necessarily be the Bible quoter, but I will quote that much. One of the things that I know I read is make it plain. And it goes back to the point that I'm making about the vision of it. And I also want to co-sign, even with me telling you that the reason, like when you're acting as something, you're not really acting as that because you don't know the details of that acting job. So I would encourage for anybody to make it plain, act as such. But to Betty's point is, don't marry yourself to the outcome. And the reason why I say this 100% is because every successful person that I've ever seen, right, when they get to that pivotal moment when they're able to express their true feelings, the one thing that I've heard them all say, Jay, you know this, I always talk about this, was they always say that it's surreal. They never imagined that it would be exactly what it is. They knew that they were going to be successful. They knew that they were going to do these things, but the magnitude of the place that they're in, they never knew. And so when you marry yourself to that end outcome, it's no way, because you can't quantify and understand what your steps do, because they're not like anybody else's, even though you may be acting like someone else. So I'm just a big believer in that. When it comes to this manifesting thing, which is why the people do vision boards, is you have to have something in your mind's eye. Betty had something in her mind's eye about her apartment. Though she didn't know how to, she saw that it was resolved. And she can see it clearly. I'm in this place. Jay knew it's resolved. I don't know how, but I see myself in this place. And I think being able to see yourself, regardless if you have the steps or the pathway to get there, is important. That's another form of acting.
So I want to clarify something you said, Troy, about successful people. Yes, we do that. You said they, like, no,
right. That's my bad.
Yeah. So and I want to let me read a comment real quick. Shout out to Diane. She said, Betty, you are an inspiration. Yeah.
It's my aunt.
I want to switch gears,
girl.
I want to switch gears real quick. We kind of touched on this, but like, why trying too hard blocks manifestation? I know, Betty, you talked about that action, and action. Yeah, I believe it's an important part in manifesting. But could action become like? Is there a line between trying too hard and the action, and what is that, and why does it block manifestation?
Yeah. So trying too hard blocks manifestation because, again, it affirms to the universe, I do not have this thing. So, like how Jay just shared, he took the action, right? Scholarship's gone, doesn't know how he's going to pay for school. The action step was filling out the scholarship applications. The release is what made that manifestation come to fruition. So, when you're in a constant state of doing and going for something, which doesn't mean like do nothing, like it's like this weird little line. If it brings you joy, keep doing it. If it becomes a chore to like try to make a manifestation come into fruition, the universe is never going to let it come to fruition because it's not something that brings you joy. And so you're putting out that energy of, God, this is so much work. I hate doing this. And the universe is like, yeah, she hates doing this. No good. Da, da, da. So trying too hard is definitely a huge block. But, I enjoy the work that goes into actively, consciously manifesting. This right here, this pen, this is a magic wand. This is as close as I'm going to get to being in Harry Potter. I write down everything that it is I desire. That's my action. Sometimes it's just that. I once wrote out a list of 300 things that I wanted, that I desired. Sorry, don't ever say want when you're trying to manifest. But when you're manifesting, it's so much language too, right? Like language is a big part of the belief system. So I wrote down a list of 300 things that I desired. I did that 5 years ago. Out of that list of 300 things, 180 of those things have come true just by writing it down. If the universe doesn't know what it is that you desire, how is it supposed to come to fruition? So that's just as simple as action can get.
So again, Betty, you're on it today. You are inspiring, like your aunt said. And I'm a firm believer in writing stuff down as an action as well. Because literally, I want to hit myself in the head right now just because I'm about to say this. But literally, everything that I ever write down, I get. Just so you know, every single time, I'm mad at myself just thinking about it. But when we talk about blocking manifestation, the thing that comes to my mind, Betty, you don't know, is I substitute sometimes when I have some free time. And I'm around these kids, and just kind of give you an example of something that happened before. There's this kid, he was doing something in the classroom. I took his toy, right? Now, I know he wanted his toy back. Think about this. He doesn't have to tell me, I know. But I know this because his desire has to be so great for his manifestation to infiltrate who I am. Like, why would I just not take the toy and just not assume that the kid does not want the toy anymore? But everything in me tells me this kid wants this toy back, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to give him his toy back at this point, or I'm going to give him his toy back at this point, or I'm going to give him his toy. So I've already made my decision on what's going to happen. His manifestation is already real. He just doesn't know it yet. But he comes to me and says, can I have my toy back? And so, but me, I'm like, nah, you can't have your toy back now. So that's the first though. I'm still going to give him at this next time. But he comes back and asks me, hey, can I have my toy back now? So now he's X'd out the other one. Like, no, you're not getting this toy back. You just wait till I give you the toy and I'm going to give you the toy, right? And so then this last time he comes and I already going to give him his toy, but he's pressing. I'm going to make this happen. You gonna give me my toy? No, you're not getting your toy back. And so the reason why I bring that up is that's what I think blocking manifestation looks like. It's already there and it's going to come. But I've decided when it's supposed to happen. I decided how it's supposed to happen. And I've determined that it's going to happen at this point. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. So now all the gears that were in the works in order for me to make it happen, I've stopped them because I'm inserting something that's not necessary. But go ahead. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, yeah, and it's true. And so, okay. So we talked about like you have an outcome in your head. You take the action, you take an action for it, and then there's a letting go. Now, I've had instances where I've taken action, I let it go, but it was more like I give up. This is not going to happen. So, is that a block? Is that a manifestation of itself? And what's the difference between that and when I said with my scholarship, when I said, okay, I did everything I could do, I give up. I'm just gonna keep going to class and see what happens. Like, what's the difference between that and I give up? This is never going to happen.
I think the difference is I let go and I give up. So again, the universe is an echo chamber. Like it's the simplest way that I can put it. You're yelling out into a cave and it's responding back to you. So if you say, I give up and your energy is defeatist, like, oh no, this is never going to happen. I give up. The universe says this is never going to happen. They gave up. But if you say, I let go, I did everything I could, I let go. the universe says, he did everything he could. He let go. And now we can come in, swoop in, and make it happen. It's just about like this flow. It's literally, you can picture a stream, you can picture a river. If you're fighting against the current, trying to grab that toy, which is what we all are, right? We're all these spoiled children. Like, we're God's children. We're like, give me my thing. I want my thing. And God is like, you have to wait. Like, just wait until it can come into the third density. Like, there's a little time space continuum here. Just give it a minute. But like that defeatist attitude will be echoed back.
So I'm gonna bring you back to this toy real quick, so I can tell y'all the end of the story, right? And it's going to answer. I feel like it's going to, make way for what you were just saying. Now, mind you, I want to tell you what this toy was. This was a little bitty bouncy ball that you can bounce in and bounce up. Those balls the kids want, right? And so again, he wanted it. I knew it. So his manifestation was already in the works. And I told him no 3 times. I think he actually gave up, because everything in his body language and everything told me he didn't want the toy anymore. So because his body language gave up, I forgot about the toy. I forgot about it. It was in my pocket. And the only reason I remembered the toy is because when I got home, I pulled the toy out of my pocket. Now, mind you, this is me thinking that he's given up and not let go, right? And so I get to the house and I see the toy in my pocket, and I'm like, dang. And Brody was like, Dad, you took that toy from school. Like, you're supposed to take that back to the school. So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, how in the world did I forget to give this kid this toy back, right? And so again, just to come around to the point that we're making, I think that's a difference. And the thing is, before he ever asked me for a toy, everything in his body, everything in his being showed me that he wanted it. So I made the determination that I was going to give it to him. But at the point that he gave up, his entire body language changed. And so did mine. So did the manifestation go away, because it was no longer desired anymore. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, man, that's powerful. Because it's got me thinking about a lot of times that I might have been right there. I might have been right in front of the person who could give me this perceived blessing, or whatever you want to call it, this manifestation. But I X'd it out. I stopped it from coming. I defeated myself because I felt defeated because of that overaction. Because you keep doing action when you don't believe it's working. And that makes a lot of sense now too. And I'm thinking of so many ways that I've done way more action than I wanted, and how like now my life is so much about ease and relaxing because I did so much action back in the day, and I don't ever want to do that again. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to comment on this because it's all like so beautiful, so entwined. So I think, damn, I totally lost my thought. I will manifest it back into my reality though.
Nah, but for myself, again, I'm grateful, because something that I know for a fact that I want to happen is I want to realize how strong I am when it comes to manifestation. Something I desire, shouts out to Betty, is to realize how strong I am when it comes to manifestation. And fortunately for me, doing the job that I do, I'm able to see it because kids show you everything. Because they don't necessarily have a choice but to reflect, because they haven't realized what they can give to the world yet. So all day when I'm around kids, including my own, the only thing that I get back are things that I put out. And that will also show you your lack of belief in manifestation as well.
Okay, I remember what I was going to say, and that's totally on point, Troy. I really appreciate you saying that, because we have a saying about kids being like sponges, but it's because they absorb everything. It is a reflection in a different way. So I'm a member of 12-step fellowship, and like coming into the recovery process, letting go of all of these behaviors, patterns, substances that were destroying my life. I wanted recovery immediately. Give me what I want now. I'm not waiting for this manifestation. I want to get to the end of the journey. I want to be recovered. And, everybody in 12-step was like, the joy is in the journey. I wish you a slow recovery. And I was like, ew, please stop talking to me. This is super insulting. But we do have one saying in 12-step fellowship, and it's don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle. Okay, so we watch people come in, they're beat up, and they just want their pain to stop. And the only way that they know to make their pain stop is to use a substance, because that's what's given them some sort of relief in the past, even if it's made their life unmanageable. So I think the same thing about what Jay was just saying, like, don't give up, like, don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle. Again, if it seems like too much work and it's not bringing you joy, then maybe it's not a manifestation that's supposed to come into fruition. I've used all of my techniques to manifest certain things in my life, and they have not come to fruition because they are not meant for me, and not right now. Like, I had written on that list of 300 things, 2 places that I wanted to get a job at. And it was just like 2 applications that I had sent in, and I was waiting to see if they would come to fruition. So I wrote them both down. Well, I've had one of the jobs for the last 5 years, and the other job, I just got an offer from that company like 2 weeks ago. And it was, again, like, I even forgot that I even wanted that until it came back into my life. So there's something to be said there as well. Like, detaching from outcome is such a powerful tool and technique in this realm of manifesting.
I have a question to that, but first I want to read what Alex asked, because my question is kind of related to this. He said, how do I know if what I'm manifesting is the universe's priority for me? Could I be distracted by my desires and overlook actions that heal/uplift myself and others? And I'm gonna get to you, Troy. Before I want to add to this question too, like how do you know? It's not I'm trying to think how to say it. Like, when you switch what you want, like, you're manifesting something, you're like, you know what? I don't want that anymore. Let me go here. But go ahead, Troy.
Yeah, so you can leave that up too, so where I can. So this is the deal, Alex, and this is the first and most important thing that I think I can say to what you're saying. Everything in the universe is for you. Like, it's not like something. It's not. There are going to be things that you don't like. There are going to be things that you're not as interested in, or you don't love as much, but everything is for you. So how do I know if what I'm manifesting in the universe is priority for me? That's you find that out by going through it. I think that's the most beautiful part about life. We tell kids, and we tell people that we love, try things, and then if you don't like it, switch it up, find something else that you want to do. But the beauty in everything that you try, there's always something that you can take out of it that you love. That's just how I look at everything. There's always a lesson. And so, as an example, before I became a real estate broker, I was working in corporate America for my whole life. And you would swear if you talked to me at that time that I hated it, or I was misplaced, or all of these things. But I kind of just went through the process. Now, the funniest thing about it, while I was working in corporate America, they used to make me do these CBTs, which are like trainings online, computer-based trainings all the time. And they were about how businesses are run and all of these different things to look out for. And again, I hated all of this stuff. The moment when I stopped working in corporate America and I started to develop my own job or to develop my own business, the first thing that came to my mind was all the stuff that I learned while I was there, the stuff that I hated. And it's what made way for me to be successful in the things that I'm doing today. Now, again, could I have left sooner? Of course. When I decided that I wasn't happy, I still could have taken the knowledge that I've gained at that time and utilized it somewhere else. But the beauty of it is, again, not to say that I had to go through that to learn what I learned, but I did go through that and learn what I learned. And that's why I am where I am today. And so I don't think that, priority comes when you decide this is what you want, and then you make it your priority. You got to live a little bit. But that's my take.
Okay.
Go ahead, Betty.
Yeah. Hi, Alex. Love you. Okay, so here's a couple things that came up for me while contemplating this and what you guys just shared. So I just shared before, right? The joy is in the journey. If you stop being, if the manifestation stops exciting you, that's okay. You're constantly becoming a new version of yourself. Maybe you needed those action steps that you were taking to create that new experience for yourself to become a more actualized, authentic version of yourself. And then you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe money isn't my highest priority anymore. It's actually being of service, and I'd rather do that. Another thing about priority is that what's meant for you will always find its way to you. Okay. So not only do I teach people about the law of attraction, but I have a very deep spiritual belief in pre-birth planning. I believe that before we come to earth, we've mapped out major plot points in our life. That also includes our parents, our partners, our children, even like the corporations that we'll work for, like what we'll do with our, mission, our purpose. Those things are already mapped out. There's no way to mess that up. And that should give you some relief. Like for me, it's like, oh, okay, I can detach, because if it's meant for me, it's going to happen no matter what. So that belief has to stay in the forefront for me while I'm on this journey of understanding how to manipulate energy on earth, because God wants everything for you. The universe wants like your highest excitement, your highest joy, all of your happiness. It doesn't mean that your whole life is like that. Obviously, we're human. We're going to experience lots of different things, but it's not like you have this desire in your heart and God is like, no, he can't have that. Like God wants you to have everything, but is your desire aligned with spiritual principles? Like for me, that's the thing that really helps manifestations come to fruition too. So if I have like a selfish, self-centered thought system on why I want this manifestation, like I'm not calling you guys out, I'm just talking about like anybody. But if I was like, I want to be a musician because I want to get lots of girls with big boobies and big butts, and I want everybody to pay attention to me. Not talking about you guys, not talking about you. But and then so right, my motives are not, they're not spiritually based. They're not spiritually minded. So the universe doesn't have a lot to do with that, because I could cause more harm by having that manifestation come to fruition.
But what if all of those women are spiritual people? Now let me stop.
I'm gonna say something and then I'm gonna have to jump out because they finna walk out. I just saw some of my kids come out and I know it's gonna be loud in here. But I want to say this too. And again, I'm saying this to say that I 100% wholeheartedly agree with what Betty is saying. Number one. But I will also say that sometimes the selfishness that your desire, the driving force behind it, it could be selfish, but you're not a selfish person and you don't recognize it. And I don't know if that really makes sense of what I'm saying, but what I'm telling you is, as long as there's even in a selfish act, as long as you truly 100% wholeheartedly believe and you're able to release yourself from it, then I think that it's still attainable. And that's just kind of how I think about it. But I'm going to let y'all, they just got in the car, so I'm going to let y'all get out of here. Betty, you got to know that you are dope. And man, I just think you need to be on with us even more just because there's so much that me and you can talk about. But go ahead, Jay. What you want to say?
Well, I was gonna say something. Well, you can go to if you want to go to, because I was gonna continue the conversation. Appreciate you with us.
I'm gonna mute and then I'm gonna drop after I hear what you said.
Okay. I was gonna say to that point too. Like I find it fascinating that even those that we would consider maybe bad in a certain way, they do get what they manifested. They do increase like more of that bad stuff. Now it's not sustainable because like the conflict leads to death. As soon as it's going to lead to someone dying, and then that conflict will be dead and it can't continue on. But like you said, aligned with spiritual principles where love and sharing, like love can be equally understood and shared by all. And so that's why it's able to perpetuate forever past even life, so to speak. But there's nothing past life. But go ahead, Troy.
One thing, and then I promise I'm going to jump out. I have people in my family that have sold drugs. So I grew up I grew up a little different, Betty. I grew up in the hood. Everybody, my family sold stuff and all this different stuff. So I was around a whole bunch of stuff, right? My mentality or the way that I thought about it was my family wanted to go to jail. The reason why I say that, and again, that's the reason why I never felt sorry or bad, because when I think about the vision that they have to have in their head for a drug dealer, right? Anything that I've ever seen, they all ended up in jail. Everything that they ever seen, they all ended up in jail. And so you can assume that, well, you know what, I'm going to be the different person, but they don't even know what that looks like. So I think that, in their situation, their selfish act, in a sense, got them exactly where they wanted to be. That makes sense?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
but that's what I got.
All right.
Thanks,
So
Troy.
appreciate you. So okay, Betty. So now let's get to the meat. We tiptoed around the steps that you need to take, but let's get to that formula. Like, let's say right now, manifesting. I want to manifest a new car. My desire is a new car. This is real. This is not just for the show. What would you say my step? Is it a mistake to even tell others like, hey, I'm into a new car? What would you say are the practical steps, or at least the first few?
Okay, so I think, and this is my belief system, and other people have different belief systems, but this is what I do, right? I want lots of people to know my manifestation. I go on my social media, I'm like, I'm a Hay House author. I want other people to see me as that so that their energy can catapult me into that. Some people like to keep things real close to their chest. They don't talk about what it is that they're working on or want to manifest. And if that works for them, that's totally cool. For me, I have this belief system that there's power in numbers. I read this book called The Power of Eight, and it was like people meditating and they were moving stuff across the country. It was, crazy. I believe in the power of numbers, the power of community, the power of people. So what I would do, I would let my friends know, like, hey, I see myself in this fancy new red car. I can't wait to have it. I'm going to go test drive it so that I can feel and living in the feeling that I already have it. We kind of focused on that a little bit. I have a couple of spiritual fitness things that I do for manifesting. So I'm going to share those. First of all, the most important time to visualize is first thing in the morning and right before you go to sleep at night. Why? Because that's when you're in a theta state of mind. The theta state of mind is the creation state of mind. Think about this. When you go to sleep, you close your eyes and you magically create an entire universe. A whole dreamscape is created with your eyes closed while you're in the theta state. What makes you think that you can't harness on that energy in your waking dream with your eyes open? You absolutely can. But you're only in that state of mind right before sleep and right when you wake up. So for me, it becomes this really fun game. I open my eyes and I go, ooh, today is going to look like. This morning I woke up and I said, today I'm getting a new coaching client. By 11 a.m., I had a new coaching client and payment in my account. Okay. Like that's how cool it is. And okay, it doesn't happen every day, right? But every day for the first 5 minutes of the day, I'm living in that feeling. And that's really what it's about. It's about the feeling. Sometimes I can't even imagine what it would feel like to connect with another person. So I just imagine the email coming through because that I have a lot of practice with. Like, oh yeah, I've seen that email come through lots of times. So that's one of them. And that's where you set intention. And it doesn't have to just be for physical things. Like today, I'm going to be peaceful. I'm going to be serene. I'm going to have joy. And feeling those feelings and holding them there for at least a minute.
So just to step in real quick, would you say, because I don't know how important ordering is or if it isn't, but if it is, would you say the first thing is to share with others, what your desire is, or would you be visualizing yourself with it?
Yeah, I think that it doesn't matter. Whatever feels right for you, like if you feel like you want others to help you with your manifestation, you've already visualized it because it's a manifestation that you have on your heart. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, whatever feels right for you. So another thing is like walking into the future version of you. Joe Dispenza has this great philosophy on the fact that you can walk into this new version of you. I leave my apartment and I walk past a bookstore and I visualize my book in the window. Or if I'm looking to manifest a partner into my life, I imagine holding my partner's hand and the conversations that we'll have as we're walking down the street, bitching about the weather. Oh God, I hate the rain. You too? Yeah, we hate the rain. Or anything like that. That's a really great way, again, to get you in the feeling that you already have it. The universe is an echo chamber. If you feel, right, or like as Christine said before, if you act as if you walk around with that feeling, then it can start to draw that experience into your reality.
And so let me ask this. Don asks, so what are doable steps that we can take to heal that trauma / limiting belief or release those blockages? And I know, like in a sense, that's kind of manifesting, but also a key to manifesting is removing those blocks. So it's like, how do you manifest the manifesting, which is kind of how I take what Don is asking. What would you say to that?
Yeah. So for me, like getting a coach or maybe doing some sort of inner work. That was really helpful for me in this process. The way that I assist people in doing that is I bring forth their shadow qualities and we start to design them. So one of my favorite things to do when I get to teach law of attraction workshops is that we design your inner saboteur, because there is a part of you who is like, no, we're going to F stuff up. I don't want this to happen. We're not worthy of this. We're not going to let this happen. So for me, my inner saboteur, she looks like the chick from The Ring. She's got like gray skin, like greasy black hair in front of her face, like long fingernails. She's all discombobulated. And she comes in when my manifestations are about to come to fruition. And she just, she runs amok all over. So that's part of my spiritual practice in the morning too, as I design my day. I also, cover her in pink light. I make her less scary looking so that she can be part of the journey. And part of my coaching too is like talking to those pieces of you to know that they're not actually you. Or you can do the same thing with like those limiting love beliefs as well. I think that there's a lot of power in having another person to heal with, because sometimes we can't see ourselves. So if I'm just doing all this internal, inner work by myself, I might not be seeing what's actually blocking me. I need another person to act as a mirror to me.
I love that. So, let go. That's probably Troy saying let go. Frederick says, shout out to Frederick. I've heard buy the keychain. And so we have share with others. You talked about writing it down earlier in the show. You talked about visualizing, seeing yourself in it. What else? I know we talked about letting go, but at what point is that the next step, or
letting go has to be
between?
Yeah, letting go has to be part of the whole process. Like, this is what I desire, but whatever. But secretly, yes, I really want this. Another thing is affirmations. And again, like affirmations, if you have underlying wounds and blocks, affirmations might not work, because every chakra is assigned an affirmation. If you don't know what a chakra is, it's the energy centers inside of your body. We have 7 of them, and they are all assigned to different core beliefs. So the I am affirmation that you always hear spiritual coaches talking about, that's associated with your root chakra. And your root chakra is what holds all of your childhood. So if you had a traumatizing childhood, that doesn't necessarily mean that like you were abused. It could be like a teacher didn't call on you in class and it created some sort of core belief around that. So if you keep affirming I am, but your root chakra is blocked, the I am affirmations might not come to fruition. So I'm just going to go up the body real quick and tell you the other affirmations. So if you're a more spiritually minded person, or you're really on your spiritual awakening journey, your upper chakra affirmations are going to be the ones that you should utilize the most, because they're going to be the ones that you can call in the quickest. So your crown chakra, located right above your head, that affirmation is I know. Because we do know, like, we are connected to all that is. This is the affirmation. I know I have a new car. The third eye affirmation is I see. This is all about spiritual sight. The throat chakra is I speak. You can start to speak these things into your existence. And by the way, your hands are connected to your throat chakra. So when you write things down with your physical hand, you are exercising your throat chakra. Okay. So you can call all of that into manifestation that way as well. Your heart is I love my new car. I love my new apartment. Your solar plexus, which is your tummy, which is all about self-will. That affirmation is I have, or I do. And your sacral chakra is located in your reproductive system. This one is I feel. And remember, your reproductive system is the most creative part of your body. It can literally create human life. And a lot of us have blocks in that area as well. It's also where we exercise creativity. So if you're a really creative person, using an I feel affirmation will be the way to go. And like I shared before, the root chakra is the I am affirmation.
I love that. And so everyone's watching. If you have something that you're manifesting right now that you want to manifest, feel free to share in the comments. Either I am, I speak, I see, I love, I live. Was I live one? I feel. Okay.
You can live it.
But I mean, it can't hurt. And I'm actually looking forward to doing all of that as well, because I love my new car. I see myself in my new car. It's beautiful. I feel myself in it, and yeah, it's great. So okay, so with that, because I know we're getting low on time, I know you're a transformation coach, but that's also kind of ties into manifesting as well. Do you want to talk about your coaching practice and how people can become a client of yours?
Shameless plug time. Let's do it. Yes. And transformation and utilizing the law of attraction isn't just about getting things, right? Like Jay wants a new car. I want a published book. But I mean, we desire. I mean, we have. We feel we have. But it can also be used to heal trauma. And that's how I healed all of my trauma. Like, a little bit about me. I used to be a homeless meth head prostitute strung out on heroin. That was 5.5 years ago. I've utilized the law of attraction and the tools from my spiritual awakening to heal myself, with the help of the universe and all of my spiritual friends, Jay being one of them. And I've been able to utilize the core understanding of the law of attraction in order to heal and to actually enjoy my life. I mean, I love my life today, and I affirm that. I love my life. And so the universe hears me and says, she loves her life. So if you're somebody who's interested in transforming an area of your life, learning more about the law of attraction, or, just need a spiritual friend to act as a sounding board, like, those are all things that I offer. I have a Calendly. It's under Buddha Betty. I'm on all social media as Buddha Betty. I'm not really a Buddha. It's just a play on words. And I would love to connect. I also offer a sliding scale. So if you're somebody who is in need of services, but you feel like you can't afford them, please reach out to me. Let's see if we can work something out. If you're not looking for a private coach, I also post a bunch of free content on my social media, my YouTube, with all of these cool tips. And I sort of hate the word manifesting. And I don't like talking about the law of attraction in that way because it's such a buzzword, but it's real, guys. Like, it's for real.
And did I put it? Actually, I don't know if I put that on right. It's a dot in Buddha Betty.
No, that's good. That's perfect.
Okay.
They'll find me.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm actually excited about manifesting now, even more than I already was. Frederick said, I think you are a Buddha. So that's perfect. And see, you already manifested just by your name. Like, I think that's important too, what we call ourselves, how we introduce ourselves to people. Because a lot of times people try to define people by what they do, but yeah. And how do you introduce yourself to people? Like, would you say that you're an author?
I do say that I'm an author. I do affirm it. Yeah, I affirm that I'm an author. I'm a writer. I'm a speaker. Like, I do say those things in affirmation. And sometimes when I do it, I feel that little cringe. I'm like, girl, you're lying. Like, that little voice inside my head is like, not yet. But the only way to make those things be a true reality is to start to affirm them into the universe so that I can have more situations come my way that can help me get there.
What's funny about that is, so I started off as a producer before I rapped, and I would always just say, "Nah, I'm a producer that raps." Like, I wouldn't claim rapper, even though other people would say, "Nah, you can rap." It's funny how it didn't mean anything to me until I accepted that I can rap, and it was years in between before people told me I could and before I accepted it for myself. And so that's important to me because, like, we can block ourselves from so many things just because we refuse to step into that, that what you talked about. So that's interesting.
Yeah. And, even something like claiming I'm an aspiring author. No, because the universe will just keep hearing, like, she's aspiring, and it's not into fruition yet, Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff with language when it comes to manifesting. And I love that, your truth was already claimed for you before you even accepted it. Again, what's meant for you will always find its way to you. There's no way for you to mess this up. There's no way.
I love that. And that's the perfect place to stop. Do you want to share any last minute things before we sign off?
No, thanks for this space. And it was so great chatting with Troy too. And I'm really grateful that you guys have this space to remind us all of our perfection.
Yeah, we'll get you back on here too. And for anybody that's watching, appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. Shout out to Frederick. He said you definitely got some skills, Jay. I used to rap back in the day. Hey, we might need to do something then. Hey, but yeah, just remember to first of all, thank y'all everybody for rocking with us today. And remember, you are a perfect creation made by a perfect creator. So you might as well accept your perfection and enter perfect mode. Yeah. And I don't know how. I don't know how to add the outro. Here we go. Good. If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm Jay Clay, rapper and spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect.
Perfect.